Hello and welcome to another Business Brew. We've brewed the tea, put our mobile phones on silent, and we're taking 5 minutes out of a busy day to talk about a business issue. Today I'm here with Hattie Fawcett from Focus for Business, and we're talking about valuation.
So, Paul, the question I most often get asked by business owners is, how do I value my business? It's a really good question, but a tricky one, right?
Absolutely. I mean, for most people, their business is their baby. In one sense, it's impossible to value. But ultimately, if you need to raise money, you're going to have to sell shares. So you're going to have to put a value on those shares. So therefore, you have to put a value on your business.
Yeah, I really relate to that baby bit. When I was trying to sell my business, I felt so attached to it. And a lot of the traditional accounting tools that are used to value business just didn't work for a business as early stage as mine.
Absolutely. I mean, for example, one way of valuing a business is based on turnover. But if you're pre-revenue or have no customers, well, that's useless.
Yeah, and you could look at profits, I guess, but early stage businesses often aren't making profit.
Exactly. So this is why it's really important to spend some time forecasting your revenues and profits and really getting into the detail of where the money's going to come from.
That sounds really helpful, the forecast idea. I guess when you have a forecast, you can share it with investors to give substance to your valuation because they can see the detail of where the money's going to come from.
Absolutely.
I guess, though, it's still a bit subjective, isn't it, Paul?
It is very subjective, yes.
Yeah, and you hear these terrible stories of investors and entrepreneurs getting locked in an impasse over valuation.
Yeah, that happens very often. But the thing to remember is ultimately you need to raise cash to enable your business to grow. And therefore it's much better to have a smaller chunk of a huge pie, if we think of our business as a pie, than to have a large slice of a tiny pie.
I like your pie analogy. Let's stick with it for a minute. Pies go off. If you don't eat a pie by its sell-by date, then you have to throw it away. It's the same with a business, really. If you don't get cash when you really need it, then the business might not survive.
That's very true. And of course, when you're thinking about valuation, the main thing to remember is, of course, that a valuation, it's actually a negotiation.
Ah, I hadn't seen it like that. But if that's the case, then you really need to understand where the other person's coming from.
Absolutely. And if you think about most people investing in small businesses, they're going to want quite a high return because the reality is that 9 out of 10 of small businesses will go bust. So therefore, an investor's going to want a much higher return than they would just by leaving their money in the bank.
Investors tell me that they want a 5 to 10 times return on their original investment. I guess that means that if you put 20,000 into a business, then you're going to want to take out between 100 and 200,000 in a 3 to 5 year time frame.
That's right. And this is why your forecast is really important, because that forecast is going to allow an investor to calculate their expected return based on the percentage of your business that they own.
How does that really work, Paul?
So basically, they'll look at the profits you're generating over the 3 or 5 year period, whatever you forecast, and they will look at the profit that they're going to make on that in terms of their return and compare that with other ways to invest their money, not leaving it in the bank.
Clever. Isn't there something about a multiple when it comes to business valuation as well?
Yeah, and a lot of investors will look at valuation based on a multiple of your profits. And the multiples basically come from, depend on what sector your business is trading in, how long it's been in business for, and how quickly it's growing. And so typically an investor might use a multiple at 5, 10, maybe even 15, 20 times profit, depending on how your business is performing.
Wow. We've taken in so much information in the last few minutes.
There has been quite a lot.
Let me see if I've got the main points clear. It sounds to me like traditional accounting methods don't really work for valuing small or early stage businesses.
That's true.
That valuation is more of a negotiation than a science.
Absolutely.
And therefore a forecast can be really helpful in giving substance to your valuation.
Absolutely.
And once you've got that forecast, there are a few tools that help you calculate the likely return for an investor.
Yeah, you've got it in one.
Good. But if you're not used to all this must be sounding rather daunting. There's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
How would you suggest an entrepreneur reaches a valuation for their business?
Well, obviously there is a lot of information online and you can do research obviously by buying books, but there's no substitute really for speaking to someone who actually has been through this before, is an expert in this area and can not only give you advice but can also test your assumptions and play devil's advocate with your business plan before you visit an investor.
That way you know it's going to stack up when you talk to an investor.
Absolutely right.
So valuation is really a communication exercise. You want the investor to see that there's a good opportunity here, and it can pay to have someone help you communicate that opportunity.
That's right. So if you want help in this area, why not visit my website or sign up for my mailing list, and I'll send you my 10 cash commandments that every small business owner should know absolutely free.